Okay, mic test. All right, so today I feel very inspired, and I just thought of sharing with you a new format I found in not only creating content like this, but a new format to make it much easier. And thanks to ChatGPT and Claude, and in the recent updates in April, I'm able to do something like this today. So what I want to share with you is the Lighthouse OS system that has basically been, at least a decade in the making in terms of how I design my programs, how I build my schools, how we manage to get, the training status here in Singapore and Malaysia, and how we're actually impacting people in my way and to be a light for someone else. It's been a long time since I want to do this because it's like, oh my God, how I wish, people can not only instead of just asking, is there a skills future or not, but rather ask yourself, what is it that you truly want in life? And unfortunately, the systems or the frameworks are not designed in that way to be able to support you in that personal development part of, in oneself. A lot of it is focused on a business development. So today I just want to, talk about this Lighthouse OS system and just see if this is something that you resonate with. And at the end of the day, we would love to work with you. We want to teach you. We want to gather this group, a group of practitioners, I would say, those who really understand the real craft way before the whole skills future thing came about, way before all the grants came about. Um, because I just got onboarded on a call with Blair Singer, one of my teachers and mentors. I truly give a lot of the credits to him for imparting the skills of facilitation and really making me understand what is it like to be world class, right? To bring world class training, facilitating, and leading, not only just to you guys, but internationally, locally, and really just as big as I can, manage the international, together with the international team. So I just thought of, going through the framework or what is the core model, and how I wish someone actually started this very early on. And the idea is to get seen, get heard, and get paid, right? A lot of times people are certified, a lot of people are certified this, certified that, but at the end of the day, so what, right? I came once upon a time thinking that, oh, I must get this license and that certification so that people will notice me, right? And then once I got it, it's like nothing has changed. Actually, it got worse because not only did I spend a lot of money, time, and effort, no one is actually trusting me in that whole process. And so that part where it says get clear is one thing that I personally realized that if someone really had a vested interest in me, they would sit down with me and really plan out the entire career pathway for me to be in this industry. We call it the edutainment industry. There are so many names today and there's so many pathways forward. But one thing I've realized, especially here in Singapore, is that to be blunt and honest with you is that if you do not know how to fill up your classrooms and if you do not have the funding or the leverage, it's very hard to do business today. A lot of times people will be asking, is there discount, is there subsidies and stuff like that. Now the question is this a marketing problem, is this a me problem, or is it a targeting problem? And that's really what I really briefly want to cover through today. But this is kind of the big framework, get seen, get heard, and get paid. But more importantly, it's about getting clear as to why you do what you do and how I discovered that, take you through that thought process so that you perhaps give you some ideas as well. Yeah, for you to ponder too. So what is the mission, right? The mission, and I was kind of doing an exercise yesterday, asking myself, the mission, why is it I do what I do? And what if I lost everything tomorrow, right? I took years to build this system, to get the accreditation, to get the funding. And it's been a learning journey. I have to be honest with you, especially for someone who is trying to figure out life, trying to had to go through so many transitions through life, as the expression calls it. And, so many programs, at the end of the day, it's like, why am I doing what am I doing? And because I started this very early in my career, perhaps I got exposed to this at the age of 11 and 12. got recognized as the youngest trainer at 15, went to try other things like became a pilot at 17, became a fleet marketer for big brands such as Tony Robbins, Blair Singer, Tia Thacker, just to name a few, Larry Gilman. And at the end of the day, it all kind of circles back down into why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I realize it doesn't come from a logical standpoint, but it comes more from a psychological. If you remember, if you ever seen like the psychological hierarchy of like why people do certain things, for me, it came because of safety, psychological safety, and finances. My roof wasn't stable, a lot of uncertainties, and for me, that was one of the very core reasons why it has pushed me to do what I do today. And always, sometimes I'm reminded if someone, how I wish someone doesn't have to go through that, so that they don't have to go through this. But through those tribulations, it is because of the ups and downs, and it has taught me a lot of lessons. And I really realized that one of the words that really stand out is this word called anti-fragile. So anti-fragile is a word, there's a book about it, but in short, what it means is that irregardless of the economy, irregardless of what people say, uh, irregardless of your gender identity, whatever your attraction is, there has been a very political debate. It doesn't matter what people say. What matters is, irregardless of that, are you able to be grounded in knowing who you are, right? And at the same time, do you have the skill set? Are you equipped with the skill set to thrive in any environment? One example is basically if, for example, if someone were to criticize you and say, "Hey, you have blue hair," and clearly I don't. I have perhaps a pink bluish tone, pink purple tone, red wine as they call it, and people mistake you have blue hair. There's two reactions to this. One, that person's crazy. Two, I don't agree with you. Three, I could keep arguing and debating it's not. Or four, I can just completely ignore it because I just know it's not true, right? But what about times where people criticize you in a more day-to-day basis, like things like, "Hey, I don't think you're good enough. Can I trust you? You look too young," right? Those were the comments I got. What proof do you have? What justification do you have? And so for me, I didn't realize this, but in hindsight, I built up a defense mechanism where I use knowledge to defense and to raise the barrier up. So I was craving for a lot of attention. I was craving a lot of certification. I spent a lot of my savings, hard-earned savings, and I became broke, right? Because all I was trying to do was just to prove my worth, just so that I can be seen, just so I can be heard, and here I am today, right? So I wish nobody has to go through that. I'm fortunate to be able to afford that. I recognize it, but more importantly is to share what I went through so that you can be not only be anti-fragile, but you really can stand up for yourself. And one of the some of the things I really learned along the way is about proof, data, walking the talk, right? And that's some things that as simple as it is to say, not many people can actually own it, live it, and say it, right? So that's really one of the pillars, is to be able to equip you with the skill sets to be anti-fragile. That's the first part. Now, the second part, of course, is financial leverage, financial opportunities. Fun fact, I do hold a financial license, but this is nothing to do with financial advisory. Rather, it's more about taking control of your finances, looking out there and seeing what opportunities are in front of you on the table, as they call it, money on the table, and at the same time, knowing all this information, what can you best do with it, right? How do you make the best opinionated decision for yourself at that given point of time? And for me, getting the financial license gave me not only the insights but the behind the scenes of how the rich think, how the rich move their money. And at the same time, perhaps I think what I would like to share is it gave me a perspective as to, instead of I want to make $1 million, rather is, hey, if the rich people only needed this much of money to leave a legacy behind, um, have a lifetime income for themselves, how much truly do they actually need, right? The calculation is actually wrong. What was taught to us, like, oh, you got to save this much so that you can get this much, but it did not account for the fact of compounded interest, interest, insurance, and one of the things that I want to break the myth is insurance was designed for the rich, right? And so if you know how it was designed for the rich and what system, it's actually a faith-based system of how the industry works, it can be used towards your um, favor if you actually truly know the instruments out there. But that's something along the line. But more importantly, is if there's an opportunity in front of you, do you take it? Right? Are you actually aware of what's actually going on the ground, right? In reality, rather than just waiting for the opportunities, right? And there's this one word that I always love to use is called vested interest. Okay, vested interest means to say, do they have a vested interest in you so that we can have a win-win-win outcome? A lot of times it's a win-lose thing, who gets more, who gets the longer end of the stick, and stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day is, hey, for us here at the Lighthouse, for me to have this insight, I create scenarios that everyone wins. If not, no one does it at all. And then last but not least, winning in the game of life, right? So you can get clear on what you want for yourself, for your life, without anybody else, like without any justification on it. Because I wrote a book called Becoming Riley, and inside the book is 33 different chapters on what it takes to discover, to give yourself the permission to be you. And that could mean for you to discover what is it that you truly want to do, you truly want to learn, you truly want to be, right? It doesn't have to be becoming a successful entrepreneur. It doesn't have to be I need to have a successful career. It doesn't need to be I need to go to a certain school and get certain grades and graduate. It doesn't have to be like that. I'm unconventional that way, and I think that it's time for me to own up that part of me, to share my light on the processes and what goes on behind the scenes, how the thought process comes about in getting the permission for you to discover what is it you truly want. And so on this, I think it's very important. Most trainers, most facilitators, most program miss it. And this is something that is quite dear to my heart, how I wish someone actually exposed me to this. So if you're a parent hearing this, if you are someone who works with parents or kids, this pillar might be quite interesting for you. We have this board game called Actual Life that basically you get to play your entire life. It's a game simulation of your entire life within a day or so or half day. And in that, basically, it kind of pulls out, right? It kind of draws out your personality, but not just that, your habits, your decision making, right? Your knowledge on where you're at today and what after the game, you can actually do to change the trajectory of your life. And that's really something I'm really excited to talk about this in the later part or in another video. Okay, but more importantly, in this image here, what I want to talk about is this flip chart or this diagram about the trainer's hierarchy. And this was shared to me by Blair. Credits to him. And I think this is something that a lot of people do not know and are not aware. Okay, let me just try to zoom up here. Okay, is what we call the commodity trainer. A lot of people start off here, right at the bottom, the commodity trainer, which is like, hey, here I am, I'm a fresh grad, hire me, here's my CV, here's my certificate, so on and so forth. So a lot of times we are positioned as a commodity, be it by fate, by accident, or just by how the system was designed, right? We all start somewhere on that bottom in pyramid, right? And so if you want to be seen, one of the things is here, as you can see, is to become a thought leader, not top leader, there's a typo there, thought leader, right? So to share your opinion, to share what goes on behind the scenes. And this is one of the ways that we actually dive deep into creating content, right? Because a lot of times, if you're going to close a high ticket sale or any sales at all, and it involves having a conversation or having a call, it all boils down to trust, right? Do they trust you? Do they want to know who you are? And more importantly, there's this very important saying, which is, if you're stuck in sales, it's because you've yet to master marketing, right? Because once you've mastered marketing, then sales become a form of service, right? So service is more like customer service. Excuse me. When you talk to people, people just want to know, are you real? Are you alive? And is what you have a solution to my pain, That's really what a thought leader is. Okay, excuse me. Okay, next, hero. Okay, so hero, it's basically someone like what I'm doing right now as well. It's someone who shares the journey, the transformation as to what goes on behind the scenes. Not just that, but also to share their story and to kind of know where they come from. And that, not only brings out the heart element, like the heart chakra. I'm going a bit voodoo there. But jokes aside, it's kind of like to empathize with oneself, right? To make it relatable to the journey, to show that, hey, it is, this is all the things, all the tribulations I've encountered. And because I've went through it, I knew the difficulty. I know what it took for me to get out of it. And here's that roadmap for you, just in case that you fall into that as well. And that's really what sets you apart from a lot of people. And this is what makes people remember who you are, right? And then last but not least is the sage. And as much as what the paper says, I think what's more important to remember is we have to remember where we came from. And more importantly is in the sage, what people usually the six, right? You have this trait, which is you have what people usually don't have or don't have at all, but they have or they want what you have. Say again, being a sage is someone who have uh what wow, this is a bit confusing. To be the sage is to be someone who has something that someone doesn't have but want to have. Does that make sense? Okay. So that basically gives you exclusivity, that gives you that's basically how you can command a premium price because what you're actually selling is access, right? Or opportunity. So that's really the trainer's hierarchy. And the reason why I want to talk about this also is because in the industry, I'm speaking to the adult educators, is that if you think that this 2026 and with the latest changes and all, is going to be of service to you, no, right? The next 2 years, a lot of 80%, from what I'm seeing right now, 80% of programs today will be phased out, right? Your baking, your cooking, your recreational stuff like that. And the whole system is going to be wiped out almost completely unless there is the endorsement from sector agencies, from government agencies to state that there's actually a true need to all of this. And if you are someone in policy, what I would want to say is that I think what's happening on the ground does not really reflect what's happening up there in the planning stage. So please, I'm really happy to share the insights and a lot of people on the ground, agencies, association, they all have data, real data on the ground. And I think, coming back to this diagram, it's really about, hey, what do you have to show, right? If you have all this data, are you actually sharing as a thought leader, to people, let them know that, hey, this is really what's happening, going on. And perhaps you might get the attention of policymakers. But again, what I'm trying to say is this, right? Is that if you think that jobs are going to come to you because you are just certified, those days are gone or going to be gone. There's too much educators, AE educators. Not that it's a bad thing, that's overcrowded, right? In Singapore, we have close to 9 to 10,000 registered adult educators as of I think last month. In Malaysia, we have similarly as well. I think it's more than that. Can't remember it was 10,000 or 30,000. The point was this, right? The point is that the market is saturated. It's very hard to get people's attention. So one of the things that you can do to stand out is not be a commodity trainer, but be somewhere above it. Just even one level up as a thought leader is really something people, you're worth paying attention to. Okay, as a friend of mine would say, to be the go-to person, to be the go-to news source. And that's really where you want to be in this day and age, especially in this digital era. But yeah, so that's that. Okay, so nothing much else to share. I just want to share that basically we launched the Lighthouse Academy. All we have like 20 programs to cover all the different sectors, especially depending on where you are in your career, in your life stage, in your journey, or maybe you're in your mid-career, quarter life crisis, you want to have a reset. We have programs on get clear, get seen, get heard, get paid, or how to be anti-fragile. It's more of personal development. We have topics, technical programs as well to teach about like this whole diagram, how to create content, how to create opportunities for other people. Just to briefly talk about it here, what it means is that, you know, at the end of the day, if you're going to do content, there's only three things you need to know, right? Are you talking about curiosity? Do you have a curiosity message? Do you have a knowledge thing that you want to share, which is what I'm doing? Or do you have an opportunity that you want to share with other people as well? So if that's it, with these three different types of intent, you know, we have different opportunities, we have different programs. Best part is you can use your SkillsFuture, they are SkillsFuture eligible. And if you have an NTUC membership, it is UTAP supported as well. So money, pricing, hopefully is not an issue. We try to make it as accessible as possible. Um, you know, for me, it's trying to get the best of both worlds, right? As a bonus, um, not to say that, oh, I got it, therefore buy from me, but more so because I personally think that if I truly know what it takes to be where I am today, and if you aspire to, how do I say, if you aspire to be world class, to be a world class facilitator, to impact and share your work to other people, then this is really that journey for you, lah, right? Especially for me, I really focus a lot on trainers, educators, because I think people have a message to share, and more people can actually share it. Even my mom, you know, who I got her to take the ACLP and stuff, she did it, you know, with much coaching and tutoring, but at the end of the day, she found her passion, right? She found her gift, which is cooking. She has the gift. It wasn't activated until I pushed her to it. She hates me, but she loves me for it. And yeah, you know, everyone has that journey. Everyone has that core, I believe, inside. And so the outcome, and I think I'll end off with this, is that, you know, at the end of the day, what I wish to impart is not just the skill set, but the knowledge so that you can make a better informed, opinionated, factual decision to win in the game of life. And so, yeah, if you want to connect, if you want to have the conversation with me, or if you want to ever follow the journey that I have, you know, you can just follow me at the Abundant Riley. That's the same username that I have throughout all my social medias almost. Um, and just see if whatever clicks click. We have you know, I'm personally planning a lot of community events, community-based events, workshops, gatherings. Hopefully, I have the energy to do so. But I hope this gives you a very quick introduction as to what goes on behind the scenes, what do I stand for, what the Lighthouse stand for, and what we are here to do. At least this is what I think I'm called to do. Okay, with that said, thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. That's one of the ways that I get to see who's watching, what questions you actually have, and it gives me the inspiration to do more videos like this. So yes, by the way, for my students who's watching this is how with ChatGPT you can now create videos. You don't have to do slides anymore, which I thought was very high resistance. Now you can just create an entire diagram with ChatGPT 2.0, and just have that conversation with, you know, zoom in and out with a little iPad or so. All right, thank you guys. See you guys in the next video. Tada.